Okay, do we have, let's see.
Do you want me to go knock on my neighbor's door and see if Mark's...
Yeah, is he here?
He's here.
Oh, okay, yeah, see where he is.
Yes. Hello, Mayor Halliday.
Hello.
It seems like Councilmember Salinas was joining the other meeting, so they were trying to. All right, Mayor, I'm going to go ahead and start the webinar. I'm going to start the recording. When you hear we are now recording, please feel free to just start.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Yeah. Please go ahead, Mayor.
Okay. I'm going to call this meeting, this is all virtual special city council work session to order. This is being held solely in a virtual manner here. And I will begin by calling the meeting to order and asking our city clerk, Ms. Lenz, to call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Andrews.
Present.
Councilmember Lamnin.
Present.
Councilmember Marquez.
Present.
Councilmember Salinas.
Present.
Councilmember Wahab.
Here.
Councilmember Cermeño. I believe Councilmember Cermeño is absent this evening. Mayor Halliday.
Here.
Thank you. 6 council members present.
All right. And then I'll ask if there are any public comments. Is there any member of the public who would like to make a comment? And in this case, we are limiting comments for this special work session to items that are actually on the agenda this evening. We will have one item. So now is the time to comment on that item. If you would like to do that, please raise your hand. I'm not seeing any hands raised, so I'm going to close public comments, and we will move on to our special work session, which is a work session regarding city commissions and the Keep Hayward Clean and Green Task Force. We'll be reviewing 10 reappointment requests. And we will be considering and approving the interview process, or at least voicing our comments about the interview process for our interviews with candidates for city commissions that we will be conducting on July 12th. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Madam City Clerk, who can go into the meat of this discussion for us.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Again, good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff, and community members. Before I go ahead and share my screen, I'd like to acknowledge my staff, who is also available on this call, as well as our intern from UC Berkeley, who actually has been instrumental in helping us gather data. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start. And please let me know if you see my screen.
We can see it, Miriam.
You're able to see it, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much. All right. As the mayor stated, the item before you relates to city commissions and the Keep Hayward Clean and Green Task Force. Basically, we are asking staff on 3 items. First, to review 10 reappointment requests from Community Services, Library, Personnel, and Planning Commission. As a second item, we are asking the council to review the report for commissions and the task force, specifically related to the attendance and trainings. And lastly, we are going to confirm the interview process for July 12th. Okay, so we're going to start. So page 4 of the presentation relates to the 4 requests from Community Services Commission. We have Commissioners Berry, Garg, Amade, and Tormoto, who are seeking reappointment to the Community Services Commission. All 4 members are in compliance with the attendance policy and required ethics and harassment prevention trainings. As you could see from the presentation, we have Commissioner Garg, who is listed on the slide. Basically, we're highlighting the ethics training is not completed. I mean, she just, her certificate just expired, but she is planning to complete the training this week. Right. Next, I'm going to go with the Library Commission. We have 2 requests from the Library Commission. Commissioners Gord and Purcell are seeking reappointment to the Library Commission. Both members are in compliance with the attendance policy and required ethics and harassment prevention trainings. Following, we have the request from Personnel Commissioner Thompson, who seeks reappointment to the Personnel Commission. Again, Commissioner Thompson is in compliance with the attendance policy and required ethics and harassment prevention trainings. And then we're going next. Next, we have 3 requests from the Planning Commission. Commissioners Vanilla Jr., Lowe, and Okenda seek reappointment to the Planning Commission. They are in compliance with the attendance policy and require ethics and harassment prevention trainings. That, Mayor and Council, completes the summary of the 10 reappointment requests. Next, I'm going to go with pretty much a summary of attachment 2 of the staff report, which contains a detailed summary for each commission in terms of attendance, required trainings, and demographic data that we have prepared for each commission. In the following slides, starting with the Community Services Commission, we are going to highlight attendance and training information. So again, starting with the Community Services Commission, we currently have 2 vacancies. And as mentioned previously, Commissioner Garg plans to complete the ethics training this week. Staff is recommending, specific to this commission, to declare Commissioner Cerna's seat vacant because she hasn't been able to attend meetings of the commission. City staff attempts to reach her were unsuccessful. Staff thinks that Commissioner Cerna could apply again when she has more time in the future. Community Services Manager Monica Davis is with us and available to answer any questions at the end of the presentation. Next, I'm going to go over the Keep Hayward Clean and Green Task Force. We have currently 10 vacancies on the task force. We have 9 members whose attendance is below the 75% requirement, and 3 members who haven't completed required trainings, as you could see on the slide. Staff is recommending to declare member Krista Penfield's seat vacant because she hasn't attended a meeting since, not even one meeting since September of last year. Because 4 members were in compliance with the attendance policy in prior years, staff is recommending that they be given another opportunity to improve their attendance. As to 4 members who were appointed last year, staff is recommending, again, another opportunity to improve their attendance. So if council agrees to declare 1 seat vacant, and that's of the individual who hasn't attended any meetings, then we will have 11 vacancies on the task force. I wanted to point out for council, take the opportunity to point out that staff from the task force has shared with us that the task force has been unable to meet in a couple of occasions because of lack of quorum. So I just wanted to bring that and share that information with all of you. Next, I'm going to go with the Library Commission. We currently have no vacancies on the Library Commission and no concerns in terms of attendance or required trainings. In terms of the Personnel Commission, we have 2 vacancies and no concerns related to attendance or required trainings. And last but not least, we have the Planning Commission with 0 current vacancies. And again, the entire commission is in compliance with the attendance policy and required trainings. And now I'm going to go through the selection and interview process for July 12th. This is the timeline of events that happen leading up to today's work session. So today we are holding the work session to review again the requests for reappointment and to formalize the process and selection of candidates to be interviewed on July 12th. As we have done in prior years, we're asking the council to review the applications received and select up to 3 candidates and submit your selection to me by this Friday, July 1st. And the selection would be for the current vacancies that we have on the Community Services Commission and Personnel Commission. Now, just as a reminder, as we have done in prior years, individuals who selected the task force in their applications will be invited to interview with the subcommittee of the task force, which is currently scheduled for July 6th. The recommendations from the subcommittee will be forwarded to the City Council for consideration. And the interviews with council are currently scheduled for Tuesday, July 12th, and action by council currently scheduled for September 20th. All right, so page 16 of the PowerPoint is pretty much a summary of the vacancies that we have. So as I indicated before, we have currently 14 vacancies. If the council agrees to declare one seat vacant on the Community Services Commission and one on the task force, we will have 16 total vacancies. Okay, and next, in terms of next steps, again, if the council wishes to follow the same process, right, of pre-screening individuals, council members will select applicants for vacancies on the Community Services Commission and Personnel Commission. The subcommittee will interview members who selected a task force, and if council agrees, as previously, and if they think that they have individuals in mind who would be great for the task force, they could also submit their selection to me by Friday, July 1st, on the form that was attached to the staff report. In terms of the interviews for July 12th, they are going to be via Zoom. Following the interviews, council will select individuals for appointment, and will also consider the recommendation from the subcommittee, and will establish a wait list of alternates as done in prior years. And I believe that completes my presentation summary of the PowerPoint or the staff report, and I'm available to answer any questions. Again, we have Monica Davis, and we also have Director Todd Rollman. If you have any questions related to the Community Services Commission and the task force as recommended in terms of those two seats that we want to declare vacant. Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing.
All right. Yes, okay. We'll start with Councilmember Lamnon.
Thank you, Miriam. So we typically have done interviews for folks that are below, I think it's the 70% threshold. I know things are still a little funky because of COVID, but I'm wondering if for the Keep Hayward Clean and Green folks that want to continue that are below that threshold, should we plan on interviewing them?
That would be a recommendation if that's what the council wants to do again this year. Definitely, we could facilitate that process.
Okay, I'll hear from my colleagues, but I would think that continuing to be consistent with our protocol is a good idea. Also, may give us a chance to help encourage more participation, given that it sounds like that commission is struggling somewhat with participation. So coming before us perhaps could help.
I just want to remind, I think for the task force, usually they get interviewed by the task force, not council.
But for attendance, that usually comes to us.
So you want to have all 10 of them come?
Just back? not the interviewees, but the people who are below the attendance threshold.
I think there were a number of them.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
And what I'm wondering is some of them may refuse to meet, which would tell us we need to probably declare that seat vacant. That's my thoughts, but I'll defer to my colleagues to hear other thoughts on that. And then also, when we consider alternates, I'd like to hear about if it's possible to please check with the people who are still considered alternates. I know Archie's still alternate for Planning Commission, and I don't remember if we have a Library Commission. I think we've blown through all of our CSC alternates, but whatever alternates are on the lists, because I suspect we may want to continue those even for commissions that we don't currently have vacancies for. We might just want to consider continuing those for the next year. So I'd like to talk about that when we talk about the alternates list. And then lastly, are any of the commissions that are planning to have new member or that have currently have vacancies, are any of them meeting before September 20th?
I think, Monica did.
What is scheduled before September 20th? I see Ms. Davis nodding.
The Community Services Commission meets in advance of that date.
Okay, so this was problematic last year, and wondering if we can at least do, an official swearing in before the meeting, and then do sort of the ceremonial swearing in before council or something like that, so people can kind of feel empowered to hit the ground running in September. Does that make sense?
So that would be before the city council takes action on the item?
Yeah, we can't really do that.
I hear that.
No.
Yeah, now that you say,
Actually,
I'm hearing the problem.
I apologize. Our CSC meeting is going to be the 21st, so we are okay.
Okay.
Okay. Problem solved. Okay.
Okay. And the Clean and Green I know meets at the end of the month. And are there any others? Or okay.
I don't think so. No.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question for our city clerk. Miriam, can you remind me, the subcommittee for Keep Hayward Clean and Green, are they only interviewing the applicants that listed that group as number 1 on their list, or are they doing 1 and 2s?
Actually, this year, because we don't have enough applicants, we were going to ask the council if they could interview anyone who has selected the task force. It could be 1 through 5, because we don't have enough.
Okay, I would definitely support that request. I also concur with Councilmember Lamnin. I know we're looking at between 10 to 11 members of the Keep Hayward Clean and Green Task Force that are below the attendance threshold, but I think it would be important to reach out to them. Maybe we just give them a 7 to 10 minute max interview, and those that decline, then we know their position, but at least they're given an opportunity if there's reasons why their attendance fell below that threshold. So I think that's a good practice, and it's important to maintain that. In terms of the alternate list, I think we need to be proactive. I know we didn't recruit this cycle for Planning Commission because there was no vacancies, but we do have an alternate, and I think it would be wise to reinstate that alternate for at least 6 months to a year to get us through the upcoming election to see what the outcome of that election is going to be, because it may have impacts on the Planning Commission.
Sorry, Elise, what did you just say about the alternate?
Specifically to Planning Commission.
Yes.
Given that we do have one alternate already identified, we do not have, we didn't recruit this go around for Planning Commission because there was no vacancies. So for that reason, we're obviously not going to be interviewing people interested in that position because we weren't recruiting for that. So I think we're just kind of in this weird time frame. So because of that, I think we should consider extending RT and being the alternate to at least get us through the end of the calendar year. And then we could revisit this in 2023 if a recruitment is going to have to be necessary for the Planning Commission, depending on the outcome of the election.
In other words, yeah, okay, I got it. Okay, and then, okay.
I wouldn't
and-
want that body not to be able to act should there be any changes between now and the end of the calendar year. Those are just my thoughts since we already identified an alternate.
Okay, yeah, and I see what you mean. Like, it's not just waiting till after the election, it's the rest of the year if something were to happen. So okay. All right, thank you. Angela, Councilmember Andrews.
No problem. So I definitely want to talk a little bit more about Keep Hayward Clean and Green. So this is a work session, so I can just want to make sure I can comment and I want to get feedback from the council. As you know, I was a chair on Keep Hayward Clean and Green. And when I transitioned from Keep Hayward Clean and Green to Planning Commission, I did leave an exit document for staff to refer to make changes because we were having a hard time with attendance when I was on the task force. And it seemed like it was a historical issue. It felt like we were recruiting a lot of people to not stay on. And it's not great for morale. It's not good for a huge body to see only a few people attend and do all the work, and other people are still called task force members. I do feel like there needs to be some structural changes this year. We can't keep going on a status quo. This was a task force. This was not a commission. There was supposed to be a sunset. Seems like there's not going to be a sunset unless the council decides there's one. But I think this is the year we need to do something to show the task force, what direction we want this group to go in. I've talked to a couple of the leadership members there on the task force. And I think they would like some more guidance. And I think showing that we're making some changes here will show that we are paying attention to this group. Part of the issue is COVID. We are a hands-on group that meets the most out of all the bodies. And I know that the number of cleanups were reduced. Even with the number of official cleanups that were reduced, the task force still wants to meet and clean up, even they call them off the grid cleanups. So we do have a passionate group of folks here that really care about the community. I think another thing that we also have to think about as a council and as we have our pet projects, there have been a lot of individual cleanups, some even led by our own council members, that are advertised on Facebook groups, that are advertised on other social media, and even some days are planned the same day as the task force cleanups. And so we need to start thinking about when we are going to organize our cleanups to show that we are looking at what Keep Hayward Clean Green is doing. They spend a lot of time working on organizing those. So I'm saying all that to say is, there's some people who have not attended purely because of the nature of the work that we're doing. I'm okay with interviewing folks, but I'm also okay with reducing the number of task force members if they're not going to be available. Another issue is that there have been meetings that I've attended that we can't move our minutes because we don't have enough for the quorum to actually meet to pass the minutes. And it's not just one meeting. There'll be meetings where for 3 to 4 weeks, we're unable to move the minutes. So we're doing the task force a disservice if we continue on this way. I do think that we can interview, again, the people with low attendance. There are some people who are on the bubble of that low attendance, but when they do attend, they're very active. So one person, I believe, is at 67%. I normally, whenever I go to a cleanup, I go to all the cleanups, but whenever I go to a cleanup, they're at the cleanups. We have to remember this task force has to meet and organize a cleanup starting at 7:30 a.m., ending at 12. This is a huge time commitment for this task force. It's a lot of hours on a monthly basis. So you're going to see this kind of dropout rate if we continue this way. So just wanted to lay that all out there as we make some decisions here today.
All right. I think that you have raised a lot of discussion questions here. And I note that it is now 5:30 when our closed session is scheduled. So I think we needed more time for this.
I would also just, Mayor, I might suggest, some of the points that Councilmember Andrews brought up. If the council wants staff, we can spend some time and maybe work with Councilmember Andrews and bring back a work session in the fall specifically on the task force. And because I think it's a bigger conversation that is, and we're not going to be able to make any changes for this recruitment. I think we should be preparing for next year's recruitment. So I would just make that recommendation to help us this evening in particular.
The comments were right on point. And I think we all saw with, what we read in this about the task force. We all also understand, I think, the impact of COVID, but I think it is time. I agree with you. It is time to relook at this and say, is there a different way? People do want to help in this regard. I'd like to look at the Adopt a Block program and, have that be part of the discussion too. And whether we really want to do a real reorganization of how we manage all the, there are people who really want to do this. They really do want to help, but do they? So you're right. It's a longer discussion. And do you think, Councilmember Andrews, that that's a good idea?
Yes, that works for me.
All right. Now we can start the other closed session a little bit late. So let's see if we can get through Councilmember Salinas. The rest of us.
Yeah. Everything that Councilmember Andrews said, I absolutely agree. And I think I think she was right on when she said this is a task force, and there was a very specific purpose for the task force. But I also want us to know that every time we do a neighborhood survey, clean and green is always at the top, right? So I think she's right that we should, and we should think about restructuring this. And, so I totally support this coming back to us in the fall, and, for us to sort of rethink it. And, and for that council member who had the competing task force, the competing cleanup, man, I'm going to go talk to that person immediately after this meeting. Mm-hmm. And let them know. But anyways.
Will that be difficult for you to do, Councilmember Salinas?
But Councilmember Andrews, at least, we served some great barbecue that day.
And I'm happy to hear the donuts that day.
But no, anyways, but yeah, I totally agree. And I think she raised some great points. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay. And well, let me say what I have to say, and then we'll go back to Councilmember Lambden. And it's just, I had some comments on the material that was presented. So I would like, in the future, for future councils to have, there should have been, first of all, I started reading this and I thought the first set of pie charts were about all of the commissions, but you had a pie chart for each commission. So I was going to say percentages, but given that we have a small number, I think that's okay, but they should have been labeled better. And there were categories for both Asian and Asian Pacific Islander. Are we really asking people if if they identify with Asian or Asian Pacific Islander, and what kind of a statistic does that give us? And then I don't know, I was just going to comment on the heavy volumes, which kind of were consistent in zip codes 4-1 and 4-2, and the big share in the Highlands for a lot of the commission. And I was going to ask you, what is non-council adopted? What did that mean?
Yes, Mayor. And actually that answer it's in the Q&A log.
Oh, I have.
Yeah, that refers to certain areas that have not adopted a plan, that the council did not adopt a plan for those neighborhoods. So you will see. So
they're just not assigned neighbor. Okay, I got it.
They don't have a plan. The council has not adopted a plan for those neighborhoods, and usually it's mostly what I've heard is that downtown, Stonebray, and other areas. It could be industrial. We have some residences in the industrial area. So
All right. It doesn't probably make that much difference, but so I would agree with what Councilmember Lamnon said initially, that we consider and reappoint Artie Garg or extend her term as alternate to the Planning Commission, and that we have to see the outcome of the election before we know what other openings we might have. So we will probably have to do, is this what you wanted to do, a special recruitment for if we had another position to fill besides hers before next, next June, July. And that's pretty much it. I agree with the rest of what you said. And now Councilmember Lamnon.
In the interest of time, I'll just send my comments to Kelly and Councilmember Andrews. It was about some thoughts about Clean and Green.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to have further discussion about that. So yeah. Okay. All right. So with that, we will look forward to
Mayor Halliday, if I may. I just want to confirm that the council agrees to declare those two seats vacant, one on the CSC and one on the task force.
Of the below, I'm sorry, which two?
So it was Commissioner Cerna on the Community Services Commission.
Well, we didn't hear from people about the interviews of the below our threshold.
So should we invite Commissioner Cerna for an interview with the City Council on July 12th?
Didn't you say that you haven't been able to get in touch with?
Unfortunately, yeah, that has been the challenge with us.
All right. I think the plan for all the others is a good one, even though, see if they respond. If they don't respond, we know. I mean, you may be able to get in touch with them, explain maybe they're not interested anymore, but I would agree we should offer them. That one, since it was 0 meetings, as I recall. Was it 0 meetings or?
No, that was the task force member who had 0.
Oh, okay. She had 33% then, was that it? Yeah. But then others had 33% too, I think, didn't some of the others? So I would reach out, I would include her in the outreach personally.
Very good. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
So is that agreeable to everybody that we do those interviews? Nobody else but Councilmember Lamnon commented on that. I'm not seeing Councilmember Marquez. Did you want to weigh in on that? Your box lit up. Oh, here. All right. Well, I have to assume since 2 of us and nobody's objecting that we will do that. We will interview the ones, or we will offer them an interview and schedule that in with the others on July 12th. Okay.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
With that, then we are adjourned to the next meeting, which is a different Zoom link. So
Microsoft Teams for closed session.
I'm sorry, Microsoft Teams link. So yes. I will see you on Microsoft Teams.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.